What if the hardest thing you've ever been through is actually the best thing God has ever done for you? I know that sounds almost offensive to say, especially when you're in the middle of it, especially when the pain is real, the tears are real, and the exhaustion is real. But stay with me for just a moment, because what you're about to hear in this video might be the exact thing your spirit has been searching for without even knowing it. There is a truth about chosen ones and suffering that most people never talk about, and it changes everything when you finally understand it. Here's the paradox that nobody warns you about: the closer you are to your breakthrough, the harder everything gets. Not easier. Harder. The season right before God elevates a chosen one is almost always the season that looks the most like destruction from the outside. And if you are going through something right now, if your finances are shaking, your relationships are breaking, your sense of direction is completely gone, then this video was not found by accident. Your divine purpose brought you here, and what God is about to show you through this message is going to reframe everything you thought you knew about pain, calling, and spiritual awakening. Before we go any further, drop a comment right now and tell me, what is the one word that describes what you're going through in this season? Just one word. You don't have to explain it. God already knows it. But I want you to type it out, because something powerful happens when a chosen one stops hiding their season and starts owning it out loud. And if this message is already speaking to something deep inside you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, because what we talk about here is not surface-level faith. It is the deep, unfiltered, life-changing truth that chosen ones need to hear, especially in the hardest seasons of their lives. There's something nobody tells you about being a chosen one, and once you understand it, everything changes. Most people assume that being chosen by God means being protected from pain, having doors open effortlessly, and living a life of visible blessings. But the Bible tells a completely different story, and it's one that might just be your story too. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers before he governed Egypt. David was hunted like a criminal before he was crowned king. The pattern is undeniable: the ones God chose the most were the ones who suffered the most before their breakthrough, and that is not a coincidence. That is construction. Being a chosen one doesn't mean being shielded from hardship, it means being carried through it by a divine purpose you can't always see. There's a massive difference between those two things, and understanding it can completely shift how you see everything you're going through right now. When God has an extraordinary calling on your life, He doesn't take you on the shortest path, He takes you on the path that builds you from the inside out. And yes, that path often goes through deserts, through silence, through losses you never asked for and don't yet understand. But that path is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of divine assignment. Think about this: gold doesn't become pure in comfortable temperatures. For gold to reach its purest form, it has to be placed in fire, and the fire burns away everything that isn't gold, everything that's impure, everything that doesn't belong to the essence of the metal. You are the gold in this analogy, and the fire you're walking through right now is not destroying you, it's burning away everything that was never part of what God saw in you before you were born. This process hurts. Nobody said it wouldn't. But the result is a version of you that even you can't imagine yet. That's what a real spiritual awakening looks like: not comfort, but transformation forged in the fire. True spiritual awakening rarely begins with revelation and peace, it begins with discomfort, with collapse, with the terrifying feeling that everything you knew is falling apart at once. Because God doesn't build on a weak foundation. He first prepares the ground, and preparing the ground is loud, hard, and frightening for anyone inside the process. There is a faith that only grows when you've been forced to depend on something you cannot see, and that is exactly the faith that will hold up everything God is about to build on your life. Spiritual warfare is real, and the enemy fights hardest against the ones who carry the most. Your resistance is actually proof of your assignment. The harder the battle you're facing, the greater the calling waiting on the other side of it. Here is what most people never realize: your pain has a direction. It is not random. It is not bad luck. It is not punishment. It is preparation. God does not waste a single tear, a single year of waiting, or a single night of crying in the dark. Every single thing you've been through is part of a God's plan that is greater than your current ability to understand, and that is exactly why it requires faith before it requires logic. The chosen ones who changed history were never the ones who had it easy, they were the ones who held on when holding on made absolutely no sense. And right now, that chosen one is you. There's a difference between pain that's just pain, and pain that's actually a turning point in disguise. Most people can't tell the difference while they're in the middle of it, and that's exactly what makes this season so dangerous and so powerful at the same time. The chosen ones who missed their breakthrough weren't the ones who suffered the most, they were the ones who misread what the suffering was trying to tell them. So before you call what you're going through a setback, a failure, or proof that God forgot about you, consider this. There are specific signs that what you're experiencing right now is not just pain, it is a divine turning point unfolding in real time. The first sign is that everything is shaking at once, finances, relationships, health, direction, all unstable at the same time. When isolated problems hit, that's life. But when everything collapses simultaneously, that is almost always God restructuring the entire foundation of your existence. The second sign is that the life you used to live no longer fits, people, habits, and places that once felt comfortable now feel like they're suffocating your purpose and shrinking your calling. That discomfort is not a crisis. That is spiritual awakening pulling you forward into something your old life was never designed to contain. When the old version of your life starts to feel like a cage, it's because God is building you a completely different house. The third sign is that God has been forcing you to be still, through loss, burnout, illness, or failure, He pulled you completely off autopilot. Most chosen ones spend years running from their calling, running from healing, running from the deeper work God needs to do inside them. So sometimes God uses the very thing that stops you in your tracks as the most precise and loving intervention of your entire life. The stillness you're being forced into right now is not wasted time, it is the exact environment where God does His most detailed and intentional work. Divine purpose is never built on the run. It is built in the quiet, in the waiting, in the season that looks like nothing is happening but everything is shifting. The fourth sign is that old wounds are surfacing, things you buried years ago are coming back up, not to torture you, but because God is healing them at the root this time. Surface-level healing produces surface-level people, and God doesn't build extraordinary callings on unhealed foundations. The fifth sign is that something in you refuses to quit, even when every circumstance screams give up, a voice deeper than logic keeps you standing, keeps you praying, keeps you believing. That voice is not stubbornness. That is the God's plan inside you refusing to be silenced by temporary circumstances. And the sixth sign, maybe the most powerful one, is that you're watching this video right now, and something in your spirit recognized this message before your mind even caught up. That is not an accident. That is not the algorithm. That is a divine assignment finding you exactly where you are. The chosen ones don't always find the message, sometimes the message finds them, right in the middle of their hardest season, right when they needed it most. Faith is not the absence of doubt, it is the decision to keep moving even when everything around you is uncertain and unstable. Spiritual warfare tries to convince you that what you're going through is the end of your story, when in reality it is the turning point that begins the greatest chapter of your life. Every sign you just heard, if even one of them resonated deep inside you, is God confirming that what you're walking through right now is not destroying you. It is defining you. There is a question that every chosen one asks at some point in their journey, and it usually sounds something like this: if God really chose me, why does this hurt so much? It's one of the most honest questions a person can ask, and it deserves an honest answer. The pain you're feeling right now is not evidence that God abandoned you, it is evidence that He is doing something inside you that could not be done any other way. Because the greater the calling, the deeper the preparation. And God never builds great things on shallow foundations. Here is something the enemy doesn't want you to understand: spiritual warfare is most intense around the people who carry the most. The resistance you're facing right now, the attacks on your finances, your relationships, your mental health, your identity, is not random. It is targeted. And the reason it's targeted is because your divine assignment is a direct threat to everything the darkness is trying to maintain. When you understand that your resistance is actually proof of your calling, the pain doesn't disappear, but it stops feeling pointless. And a pain that has purpose is a pain you can survive. God doesn't waste a single tear. He doesn't waste a single year of waiting, a single night of confusion, or a single season of silence. Every single thing you have been through, every loss, every betrayal, every door that closed in your face, is being woven into something that your current perspective simply cannot see yet. The chosen ones who changed history were never the ones who had it easy. They were the ones who held on when holding on made absolutely no sense. Joseph held on in a prison he didn't deserve. Job held on when his own wife told him to curse God and die. And on the other side of that holding on was a breakthrough that redefined everything. There is a real story behind this message, someone who was at their absolute lowest, convinced that their life had no direction, no future, and no purpose. Every door was closed. Every relationship felt broken. Every prayer felt like it was hitting the ceiling and coming right back down. But years later, looking back at that exact season with clarity, they understood something that changed everything. God was doing the most precise, the most intentional, and the most transformative work of their entire life in that moment. The season that felt like destruction was actually the season of construction. And that story could be yours too. Pain this deep never comes without purpose, and that is not a cliché, that is a spiritual law written into the lives of every person God ever used in a significant way. Your turning point hurts so much because what God is building inside you requires a depth that comfort could never produce. Faith that cannot be shaken by circumstances is only built by going through the worst circumstances and coming out still standing. The version of you that is emerging on the other side of this season is the version God saw before you were born, and that version was always worth every single thing this process is costing you right now. Most people look at their hardest seasons and see only what they're losing, but God is looking at that same season and seeing everything He is building. There is a construction happening inside you right now that your eyes cannot detect, because the most important work God does is always invisible before it becomes undeniable. The faith being forged inside you in this season is not ordinary faith, it is the kind of faith that cannot be shaken by circumstances, because it was tested by the worst ones and survived. That kind of faith cannot be downloaded, cannot be inherited, and cannot be faked. It can only be built the exact way God is building it in you right now. Hard seasons have a way of removing everything that was never part of your calling to begin with, and that removal process is what most people mistake for loss. The relationships that are falling away, the opportunities that are closing, the version of yourself that no longer fits, none of that is God punishing you. That is God editing you. That is divine purpose stripping away every layer that was covering the real you, the called you, the you that was always meant to emerge from this fire. Clarity that comes through stripping is the deepest clarity a person can have, because it's not based on what you want, it's based on what God sees. Here is something that will change the way you see your pain forever. Your testimony is already being written, and it is going to set someone else free. The exact thing you are walking through right now, the confusion, the waiting, the breaking, is someone else's miracle in the making. There is a person on the other side of your story who needs to hear that you made it through, that God was faithful, that the turning point was real. Your pain is not pointless. It is not wasted. It is being transformed, right now, into the most powerful weapon against hopelessness that God could ever place in human hands, a testimony that cannot be argued with because it was lived. There is a real story that carries this truth perfectly, someone who came through the hardest season of their life and looked back with absolute precision at everything God had been constructing the entire time. What looked like a collapsed career was God redirecting a calling. What looked like a broken relationship was God removing a distraction. What looked like failure was God dismantling a version of that person's life that was never meant to be permanent. And when the new season arrived, everything that had been built in the dark was suddenly visible in the light, and it was greater than anything that person had ever planned for themselves. That is what God does in the seasons that make no sense. The version of you that is on the other side of this turning point is who God saw before you were born, before the mistakes, before the failures, before the wounds, before the waiting. And right now, He is doing the most careful, the most intentional, and the most precise work of your entire life to bring that version of you to the surface. The foundation being laid inside you in this season is not just for you, it is for everything God is about to build on your life, through your life, and beyond your life. What He is constructing right now required ground this deep, preparation this thorough, and a chosen one willing to stay in the fire long enough to become what the fire was always meant to produce. The hardest thing about being in the middle of a turning point is that it doesn't feel like a turning point, it feels like drowning. And when you're drowning, every instinct inside you screams to get out, to escape, to make the pain stop as fast as possible. But here is what every chosen one needs to hear right now: don't rush the process. Trying to escape the fire before the purification is complete doesn't save you from the pain, it just guarantees that you'll have to go through it again. God is too intentional and your calling is too important for Him to let you skip the steps that are building the very foundation your future is going to stand on. One of the most important things you can do right now is guard what God is building inside you, because not everyone deserves access to what you are becoming. In this season, your spiritual awakening is fragile in the most sacred way. There are people around you who will not understand what you're going through, who will offer you advice rooted in fear instead of faith, who will try to pull you back into a version of yourself that God is already done with. Guard your peace. Guard your process. Guard your divine purpose with everything you have, because what is being formed inside you right now is far too valuable to be handed to people who cannot honor it. Here is the most practical thing anyone can tell you in the middle of a hard season: do the next faithful thing. Not the whole plan. Not the complete vision. Not the version of your life that exists 5 years from now. Just the next step that God has already shown you, the prayer you haven't prayed yet, the conversation you've been avoiding, the decision you already know you need to make, the thing you keep putting off because the bigger picture feels too overwhelming. Breakthrough is almost never one giant leap, it is a series of small, faithful steps taken by someone who decided to trust God's plan one day at a time, even when the full picture was still invisible. There is also something you need to release, and this might be the hardest part of all. Not everything that is breaking was meant to come with you into the next season of your life. Some of the weight you are carrying right now, some of the relationships, the identities, the expectations, the old versions of your dreams, were never designed to survive this turning point, because they were never part of your divine assignment to begin with. Release what is falling. Not with bitterness, not with regret, but with the understanding that God's plan has always been bigger than your comfort, and what He is removing was never the real thing. The real thing is what remains after everything else falls away. The last thing, and perhaps the most powerful thing, is this: speak over yourself like someone who was chosen before the foundation of the world. Because you were. Open your mouth right now, in the middle of the mess, in the middle of the confusion, in the middle of the season that makes no sense, and declare out loud what you believe God is doing on the other side of this. Name what you're going through. Name the fear, name the pain, name the uncertainty, and then declare, with the full weight of your faith, that it is not the end of your story. The chosen ones who made it through their hardest seasons were not the ones who had the most answers, they were the ones who kept speaking life over themselves when everything around them was speaking death. That chosen one is you. And your breakthrough is already on its way. Everything you just heard in this video was not information, it was a mirror. And if something inside you recognized itself in this message, then you already know that what you're going through is not the end of your story. It is the turning point. It is the moment that, years from now, you will look back on and say, that was the season that changed everything. That was the season where God was doing the most precise, the most intentional, and the most transformative work of my entire life. But knowing that truth is only half of it. The other half is what you decide to do with it starting right now, today, in the middle of everything you're still walking through. So let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with this question honestly. How much longer are you going to let the weight of this season convince you that you were not chosen, that your calling is not real, that the breakthrough is not coming? How much longer are you going to interpret God's construction as God's rejection? Because the chosen ones who changed history were not the ones who had perfect circumstances, they were the ones who made a decision, in the middle of the fire, to trust the process, to guard what God was building, and to keep moving forward one faithful step at a time. That decision is available to you right now. Not tomorrow. Not when things get easier. Right now. Here is your challenge coming out of this video: do one thing today that the old version of you would have been too afraid, too broken, or too distracted to do. Pray the prayer you've been avoiding. Make the decision you already know God is calling you to make. Release the thing that has been holding you back from stepping fully into your divine purpose. Speak out loud over your life, over your season, over your calling, and declare that what God started in you, He is faithful to complete. Because He is. And because you were chosen before the foundation of the world for exactly this moment, exactly this season, and exactly this turning point. Now I want to hear from you, because your story matters and this community needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the one thing in this video that hit you the hardest? What is the one truth that your spirit needed to receive today? Let's have that conversation, because iron sharpens iron, and chosen ones were never meant to walk through their hardest seasons alone. Your comment might be the exact word that another chosen one needed to read today, so don't hold back. Type it out, be real, and let God use even that small act of faith to encourage someone else who is watching this video right now. And if this message added something to your life today, if it gave you even one moment of clarity, one moment of strength, or one moment of renewed faith, then do something that costs you nothing but means everything: hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel and activate the notifications so you never miss a message. Because what we build here, together, is a community of chosen ones who refuse to quit, who choose faith over fear, and who understand that the hardest seasons are never the end, they are always, always the beginning of something greater than anything they could have planned for themselves.